you right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Monday edition. Chasing that paper presented by VegasInsider.com. Coming off another winning Football Friday show with my guy Ian. We'll be along momentarily here. Lots to discuss today, isn't there? Week 18 in the can, the regular season of the NFL in the can. We're going to look ahead to Super Wild Card Weekend. Of course, kind of a big game tonight in college football, right? Also some NBA college hoops to discuss and bet on. Let's bring in my co-host for the day, Iain MacMillan, senior editor over at Betsided. See Ian, you see me, I'm representing the Miami Dolphins here today. The playoff bound Miami Dolphins, we'll discuss that in a bit. Ian, show us who you're representing today. A little bit of pride for yourself as well, coming off a W against Tom Brady, right?
That's right. No quarterback goes 10-0 against the Atlanta Falcons. So 1-9, I think we are against Tom Brady. I think that's right. I might be wrong. But that was definitely our first win against Tom Brady. I don't care that he didn't play the second half. It still counts. Solid season for my boys. I'm not too upset. We're closer than a lot of people think. So I'm excited for next year. We're all right. We're in a fine spot.
There you have it. All right, guys. Plenty of NFL to discuss in the second half of the program. But as always, we front load the show with picks. So let's get right into the action. National championship game tonight in college football. Ian's got a pick for the total. I've got a pick for the spread. Give me Georgia minus 13 points. Way too many bettors are taking the TCU bait. So you guys know I'm a bit of a casual when it comes to college football. My immediate instinct when I saw this line was, well, you got to take TCU here. This spread is too big, and people have doubted them all season. Well, apparently, that's a common thought, with 73% of spread bets tracked at the Action Network coming in on TCU. I'm here to tell you guys that square dogs have fleas. I want no part of this public betting darling in the biggest game of the year. Now, coming off a close game, obviously their closest of the season versus Ohio State, that's a major outlier for Georgia here because ass kickings are part of their DNA. 11 wins this season by 14 or more points, 9 wins of 20 or more points. You go back to the start of last season, 20 wins of 20 or more. Since the start of last season, average score margin of over 23, both this season and last. And you dig into the stats here. Georgia's D is going to turn TCU's offense into a one-dimensional mess that won't be able to run the ball, which will lead to a lot of difficult third down conversion attempts. Georgia's rush D is one of the best in the country. They held Ohio State to just 3.7 yards per rush attempt. Run blocking is a weakness for TCU. Weren't great on third down at all this season. They're not getting 2 pick sixes in this game. This could be an absolute bloodbath. Give me Georgia minus 13. All right, Ian, you have a pick for the total. Which direction are you going with?
Yeah, I am on the public side when it comes to the total. I'll go ahead and take the over. 63.5. I think it's going to be a shootout tonight. I would encourage you all to look at the stat points per play. Everyone talks about points per game. I think something that's a little bit more represents a better look of how these teams score points is points per play. I think that shows how effective the offenses are at scoring as many points as possible in as few of plays as possible. Well, these two teams are 6th and 7th in the country in points per play. And also, I think a big advantage the TCU offense is going to have against the Georgia defense is if they run, and they will, their hurry-up offense. We saw Georgia have some issues against Ohio State in the semifinals when they ran their hurry-up offense. It tired them out. You saw DBs with their hands on their hips, and it resulted in a lot of points for the Buckeyes offense. Well, TCU plays at an even faster pace. It is the big advantage that a Big 12 offense has against more of a pro-style SEC defense. If TCU can push the pace and tire out Georgia, I think that's going to be key for their offensive success and result in a lot of points. And let's not underestimate Georgia's pass attack here. We're kind of used to knowing them as a defense and run-first team. Not the case this season. 7th in yards per pass attempt, and now they can attack a TCU defense that has a relatively weak secondary, 46th in opponent yards per pass attempt. I think this is going to be an absolute offensive shootout through the air. Give me the over, 63.5 between the Horned Frogs and Bulldogs.
Shootout tonight. Sunny Los Angeles. All right, let's bounce back and forth between the NBA and college hoops a little bit. I'll get a start with the NBA. Taking a big dog here. The Chicago Bulls coming in at plus 8.5 in Boston versus the Celtics. Hoof, 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 hoof. And check out these Bulls here. The Bulls are absolutely buzzing against the spread here. Recently, 8-2-1 ATS in their last 11 games. Straight up wins versus the likes of the Sixers, Nets, Bucks, Knicks, and Heat in there. They play up to the competition. And this is a close matchup in many key areas. Over the last 10 games, these teams are neck and neck in free throw rate, opponent EFG percentage, points per 100 possessions, just to name a few. But one area that's not even close is from the land, beyond the arc. Significant edge from three-point land for Chicago in this one. Third versus 24th in three-point shooting percentage over the last 10 games. Boston is 25th in opponent three-point shooting percentage in this span. Give me Chicago to give the Celtics a game tonight, plus 8.5. All right, moving over to college basketball. Ian, what are you looking at?
Yeah, not a great college basketball slate tonight. I think a lot of sports are stepping aside for the college football national championship, but I think I found a few diamonds in the rough here. Let's start off with a showdown between Alabama A&M and Jackson State, and I'll take the points with the Bulldogs. Another Bulldogs that we're talking about on the show here. Yeah, there we go.
Indeed.
Yeah, Alabama A&M plus 5.5 here. Let's start off with the obvious, and that's Jackson State struggles to put the ball in the hoop, which I believe, I'm not a basketball guy, but I believe that is the aim of the game. I think you're supposed to put the ball in the hoop. Jackson State, 323rd in effective field goal percentage. That's not good. Another thing Jackson State struggles in is defending down low, and that's going to hurt them tonight because Alabama A&M ranks 60th in the country in two-point shot rate with 67.8% of their shots coming down low. Jackson State, 353rd. That is 11th last in the country in opponent two-point field goal percentage, letting teams shoot 57.2% from down low. And also, I love to talk about turnovers when talking college basketball, and it's going to play a big role tonight. Jackson State is also 353rd in turnovers per possession. Once again, that's 11th last amongst all college basketball teams. While Alabama A&M, their biggest strength is forcing turnovers, 50th in opponent turnovers per possession. I'm jumping all over the Bulldogs, getting 5.5 points here. Alabama A&M, let's go.
Yeah, Alabama A&M, baby. That one circling my calendar for a while. Okay, back to the NBA. We got the Pelicans in Washington to take on the Wizards. I'm going to take a shot on those Wizards minus a single point here. So many advantages for the Wizards in this one, specifically shooting here. EFG shooting percentage over the last 10 games, 7th versus 23rd, 5th versus 20th in opponent EFG in the span for Washington as well. And we got to keep in mind, most of those 10 games were with Zion in the lineup for the Pelicans. He is, of course, out tonight, and this is a very undisciplined stretch for New Orleans. The Pelicans lack discipline. 25th in turnover percentage and 24th in opponent free throw attempt rate over the last 10 games. And there's going to be a big edge at the free throw line tonight for the Wizards. The Wiz have been great at keeping opponents off the line, ranking 2nd in opponent free throw attempt rate over the last 10. Offensively, in that sample size, they're 5th. So at the line, one of many advantages they'll have tonight. Give me the Wizards -1 versus the Pelicans. Ian, bring it home for us. Your last pick of the show.
Yep, my last pick of the show. I'll let you all know that I'm a big fan of Oral Roberts, the Golden Eagles, plus 5.5 tonight against New Mexico, the Lobos. Plus 5.5 here. Oral Roberts can shoot the lights out. Heading into tonight, they're 28th in effective field goal percentage, even hotter over their last 3 games. The EFG percentage up to 57.6%. over their last 3 games. And they also play really strong on the interior, on their own side of the court. And that's going to prove to be important tonight because 72.3% of New Mexico's shots come from down low. That's the 14th highest two-point shot rate in the country. Oral Roberts, 53rd, and opponent 2-point field goal percentage, keeping teams to shooting 45.8% from down low. And a big reason why I love Oral Roberts, the Golden Eagles, is because they are very disciplined. 11th in turnovers per possession, 21st in personal fouls per game, 21st in free throw percentage. They do all the fundamentals very well. So I like Oral Roberts plus 5.5, the Golden Eagles against New Mexico tonight.
Ooh, my God. This is a family show, Ian.
I know.
A lot of children skip school to watch the show here today. But hey, yeah. Or let's go Oral Roberts tonight, okay, guys? If you're watching on YouTube right now, do me a favor. There's a like button right down there. There's a subscribe button right down there. Give those a little click. Now, if you're looking to tail any of our action, if you're looking to fade any of our action, I strongly recommend placing that action over at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Kick off your day of sports betting with the king of sportsbooks. Sign up with BetMGM using bonus code VIBONUS, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. That's VIBONUS, all one word, no spaces, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 or older. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. All right, Ian, a lot to unpack here for Week 18 and looking ahead to Super Wildcard Weekend. Don't you love that? Super Wildcard Weekend. So let's kind of rip through a little bit about what we saw yesterday. We're going to be all over the place here. A lot to discuss, and then we'll take a look at the Super Bowl Futures Odds Board and maybe some of these games here for Super Wildcard Weekend. So, of course, on Saturday, we saw the Kansas City Chiefs put the Raiders out of their misery. They beat the living shit out of them. They won 31-13, easily covered the spread on that one. The Jacksonville Jaguars squeaked one out against the Tennessee Titans. I don't think anyone was very impressed by Jacksonville in that game. Maybe a good draw for them. They're a dog at home to the Chargers. That one's kind of interesting. The Baltimore Ravens, Bengals, not a whole lot to discuss there. The Bengals beat the shit out of them. 27-16. Maybe not beat the shit out of them. That might be a bit strong. Panthers, Saints, who cares? Browns, Steelers. Hey, Mike Tomlin. Big shout out to him. What is it now? 15 seasons in the NFL. He still hasn't had a losing season. Very impressive. But how about Deshaun Watson? What a complete and total disgrace this guy is. For many reasons, of course, but for football reasons. 6 starts as the quarterback of the Browns. The Browns offense averaged 12.8 points. 12.8. They gave up a lot to get Deshaun Watson. A lot of draft picks, a lot of money. 12.8 points ain't gonna cut it. The Browns fired their defensive coordinator this morning. One really interesting one here, Ian, that I'll get you to weigh in on, and a lot of pieces to this one. So the Texans and Colts, of course. All the Texans needed to do was lose to secure the number 1 overall draft pick, and they come up with this just improbable victory, converting on 4th and 10 and 4th and 20. They end up winning the game. And as a result of that, they no longer have the first overall draft pick, and they fired Lovie Smith last night. I think everybody thought that was a bit of a joke of a hire with Lovie Smith in the first place. Who wants the Houston Texans job? Like, if you're like a guy, like a head coach in waiting, like the defensive coordinator for the 49ers is going to be a hot candidate, I'd say no thank you if they offered to interview me. So, yeah, I think the Texans probably the most incompetent franchise, maybe in all of professional sports right now. Just a joke they are. But you were telling us before he came on there something, one of the contests down in Las Vegas, a guy lost out on a couple $1 million because of what happened. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, I will say, just to your point there just a moment ago, I think DeMeco Ryans, the 49ers defensive coordinator, I don't know if this is new since we've gone live or this is early this morning, but he actually said he's not going after the Texans head coaching job. So, yeah, it's that bad. He's like, no, I'm good. He's going to interview with Denver. He's going to look at a couple other head coaching jobs with the Texans. He's like, no, I'm good. I'll go somewhere else. But, yeah, for those who didn't see that on Twitter, and it was kind of going around, so maybe a lot of people saw it, but the Circa Survivor which is a survivor pool that Circus Sports runs. It's a $1,000 buy, and it goes until the end of the season. There are 3 people left going into the final week. So as long as you just survive, you win a split of the pot. And the other 2 teams won. So if the third person won, it would have been a split of $2 million. They chose the Colts to beat the Texans. 4th and 20. They stopped them there. The Colts stopped them there. The Colts win, and this person wins $2 million. But no, Davis Mills completes, I think it's Akins in the end zone, 4th and 20, touchdown, Texans win. That guy went from winning $2 million to $0 on a 4th and 20 touchdown. All-time Hall of Fame bad beat. I would vomit if that happened to me. I don't know if I'd ever be able to watch football or bet on football ever again if a 4th and 20 touchdown resulted in me losing $2 million. Oh, what a gut punch.
You got to retire from betting at that point.
You have
like to. $2 million is a life-changing amount of money. You can buy a pretty nice house, pay off all your debt, a couple of cars, college education for a couple of... That's fucking ridiculous. So, yeah, rough for that guy. I've had bad beats where I've lost $25.
Yeah.
As a result, never mind $2 million. But, hey, maybe good for Lovie Smith. I think maybe he knew he was on his way out the door, and he was like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to go out and win this game. And Jeff Saturday, that's going to be one of the worst head coach hires of all time. The wheels fell off of that very, very quickly. I know they beat the Raiders their first time out, but it was a complete disaster afterwards. So the Colts will probably look at them as a team likely maybe to trade up with the Chicago Bears, who did their job and lost to the Vikings 29-13. The Patriots were in that game against the Bills for a while, but pretty lopsided loss here, 35-23. And how special was that kickoff return to open the game? You know, made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. It was 3 years and 3 months removed from the last time the Bills returned a kickoff for a touchdown.
Wow.
Number 3, right? Damar Hamlin. So, yeah, that was pretty special. And how about, guys, my Miami Dolphins? What a dominant defensive victory. 11-6 over the Jets. You know, they made me sweat, the Dolphins, and it wasn't pretty down the stretch. But, hey, they punched their ticket to the playoffs, and I was here on this show before the season even started. I said for the Dolphins, a win for their season is getting into the playoffs. That's a great step in the right direction. I know this past month or past 6 weeks hasn't been pretty, but you have to look at the season as a whole. And the season as a whole for the Miami Dolphins, I call it a success. They went over their win total for the season, and they're into the playoffs. And we also do have to consider they've had some pretty bad luck, pretty shitty luck with injuries here. But Tua, he's missed, 6 games now? 5.5 games? Something like that. Armstead on the offensive line. So, yeah, I think it's a win for the Dolphins. It doesn't set up very good for them going into Buffalo, probably without Tua, I would say. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'd put it at 50-50. But, yeah, getting into the playoffs with the first-year head coach, that is a step in the right direction. So, W for the Dolphins there. Ian's Atlanta Falcons took care of business. We touched on that at the top of the show. They beat up on Tampa Tom and the Brady's. The 49ers beat the living shit out of David Blau. And the Cardinals 38-13. The Cowboys looked like dog shit at the wrong time of the season.
Yes.
They lost by 20. They scored 6 points. Dak Prescott? Oh, my God. He looks awful. And how about that Brandon Staley here with the Denver Broncos game? The Broncos won that game. Russell Wilson looked all right in that game. We'll give him a little bit of credit, right? It was a punching bag all season. But, you know, I would log on to Twitter every 15 minutes or so, and I would see, like earlier in the game, hey, why is Justin Herbert still in this game? Nothing for the Chargers to play for. Win or lose, they're going to be in the same spot there no matter what. Log in again 10, 15 minutes later. What's Justin Herbert still doing in this game? And that was kind of the story of this game. He continued to leave the starters, and, of course, Mike Williams got injured. He needed help walking to the team bus. I guess he might be fine. We'll be able to play, but still, playing with fire. What are you doing, Brandon Staley? Amateur hour stuff for him. The Seahawks squeak one out. Good for them. 19-16, overtime win, punched their ticket to the playoffs. Man, those Philadelphia Eagles, this is a team that needs a bye. They squeaked one out, I guess you could say. They took their foot off the gas against the Giants. They won that one 22-16. The Giants easily covered the 17-point spread in that one. Giants, one of the best coached teams in football. They're in there with a bunch of third stringers, and they gave a team who needed to win to clinch the number one seed all they could handle. So good for the Giants. That will be an interesting game against the Vikings. And, of course, we'll bring Ian back in for this one. We wrap things up on Sunday Night Football. What a win by the Lions. You have to absolutely love the Lions. Don't be an idiot. Oh, the Lions had nothing to play for. The Lions had a lot to play for. They were going for a winning record, and they had the opportunity to knock a team out of the playoffs that's done nothing but beat the living shit out of them for many, many years. And one lesson to take away, guys, if you're new to the betting thing, it's different from a win-loss perspective, but you heard so much analysis yesterday of, do you really want to go against Aaron Rodgers in this spot? You know, we're kind of judging teams based on past reputation. Don't apply that to your spread betting. So many people out there that didn't know what the hell they were talking about. You don't want to go against Aaron Rodgers in that situation. How'd that work out for you? How has that worked out for the Packers the past couple of years in a win-or-go-home game in the playoffs? It hasn't worked out very well for them. So let's unpack this a little bit here, Ian, what we saw on Sunday Night Football. That was a no-show performance from the Packers on their home field. They scored 16 points. It was a fucking field goal fest against the Lions, who have maybe the worst defense in football. So immediate speculation began. What's next for Aaron Rodgers? He was kind of taking his time getting off the field. He didn't want to give up his jersey. Who knows what that means? It looks like we're in for another offseason of foot dragging for Aaron Rodgers in terms of, does he want to retire? Is he going to ask to get out of his contract and get traded to another team? This is a situation where the Packers have to force his hand and be like, listen, we went through this with Brett Favre 2 or 3 times. We went through this with you, Aaron, last season and in your past as well. You got to let us know what you're going to do, or we're going to make the decision for you. It would be different if he was coming off an MVP season. But that's not the case. So what do you think is next for Aaron Rodgers and the quarterback position for the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, well, first of all, last night was also a bad night for the NFL is rigged crew, which you saw going around, especially after a couple penalties when it went against the Lions. Oh, they're rigging it. They want to see Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in the playoffs. No, didn't rig it enough, apparently. But yeah, it's going to be another. We just have to accept this is going to be part. This is just part of off-season sports talk. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers this year. It has been for the past couple of years, but I remember back when it was Brett Favre was the cycle every single year, whether or not he's going to retire. Tom Brady, I'm sure we'll get whispers of whether or not he's going to retire. This is just part of the offseason. But I think last night in his post-game press conference, he made it hint like he was going to retire. But I don't put a lot into that. It's the same thing with UFC fighters saying they're going to retire as soon as their fight is over. It's the same thing we saw with Tom Brady. He did retire as soon as the season was over last year. Give these guys a month, 2 months. Once they're sitting around, bored at home, they're going to start missing playing football again. I don't know. Is Rodgers going to come back to the Packers? I don't think so. I think that's where it might get interesting. He might link back up with Devontae Adams now back with Las Vegas now that Derek Carr seems like he's going to be gone. So I think Aaron Rodgers will play. I don't think he's going to be back with the Packers, though.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're on the eve of the NFL draft and the future of the Green Bay Packers quarterback position is still up in the air. I would not be shocked at all. So that division, they're going the wrong way, and the Lions are going the right way. The Lions are sitting there. I think they have the 5th pick and the 18th pick, something along those lines in the upcoming draft. So they're going to be in a spot where they can improve their defense. And hey, let's give Jared Goff a little bit of credit here too. This is one of these guys. He was everybody's favorite punching bag for many years, and the LA Rams completely threw him under the bus. He played incredibly down the stretch. Look at the numbers. Jared Goff, people, he can't play in the cold. Don't bet on Jared Goff at Lambeau Field. Goff played pretty good, so I don't think that the Lions should be in any rush whatsoever
to
be looking for the quarterback of their future. I think
I will say
more than capable.
about Jared Goff, to add to that point, didn't throw an interception since week 9. Only 7 interceptions on the entire season. So that was kind of the thing with Jared Goff, is that he throws a ton of interceptions. Not the case this year.
Yeah, good for Goff. Good for the Lions, an easy team to get behind. And also in that division, of course, the Bears have the number 1 overall draft pick, and I guess they have the most cap space of any team as well. So maybe ready to make some moves, and maybe the Green Bay Packers set to go into a potential rebuild here. That will be interesting, a changing of the guard. Okay, now let's look ahead to, we get the Super Wildcard weekend, the updated Super Bowl futures odds board. We'll ask Tito to bring that up right now. We have the Chiefs as the favorites. Now, I think most people would take the Bills head-to-head versus the Chiefs, but we do have to consider the Chiefs have the first-round bye. The Bills do not. Anything can happen in a playoff game, whether that be from a win-loss perspective or an injury. We'll keep our fingers crossed that does not happen. The Eagles, of course, the number 1 seed in the NFC, coming in with the third best odds. And we got the 49ers and the Bengals. I think you can make a great case for any of those 5 teams to make the Super Bowl and win it. Then we have the Cowboys playing pretty bad football right now. The Chargers, Bucs, Vikings, Ravens, Jags. And I don't think a whole lot of people are interested in betting on the Dolphins or Seahawks. But Ian, outside of those top 5, if I needed to pick one of these teams, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 28-1. Here we are once again, a guy that never gets any breaks whatsoever, Tom Brady. Things are starting to break pretty good for Tom Brady. It looks like, I'm not going to go as far to say the wheels are falling off for the Dallas Cowboys, but they're playing pretty shitty football entering the playoffs. Now they have to go on the road, where they've been worse this season, much worse actually, to play against a Tampa Bay team that's playing pretty good football right now. If Tampa Bay can get off to a fast start, things are going to get very tight for Dak Prescott, who's playing bad football right now, and Mike McCarthy, who is just an awful decision maker in tight spots. And then this could set up potentially, maybe Tampa Bay would have to go into Philadelphia to take on an Eagles team that doesn't have a whole lot of momentum right now. Who knows what the 2-week break, that might help them. You got to figure it will help them, but it could also hurt them as well. So things are breaking pretty good for Tampa Tom and the Buccaneers right now. So outside of that top 5 on the odds board, who are you looking at?
There's 2 teams I'm looking at. Number 1 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know they didn't look great on Saturday night against the Titans here, but still, this is a team that is going into the playoffs very hot over their last 3 games. Jaguars 5th in the NFL in net yards per play. They're playing their best football that they've played all season at the right time. And let's not forget they are coached by Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl not that long ago. When was that? 2017, 2018? He won it with the Eagles. Trevor Lawrence has been playing fantastic. Their defense has been pretty solid. So I kind of like the Jaguars there in that spot. And then I'll be the one to do it, Joe. If Tua Tagovailoa comes back for the Dolphins, which has not been confirmed yet, I kind of like the Dolphins at 60-1. Sprinkle a little bit on a dark horse long shot here. You want to look at net yards per play. And I know net yards per play does not tell the full story. I'm very aware of that. But it does show how well a team moves the ball down the field and prevents the other team from doing so. 5th in the NFL, the Dolphins are this season in net yards per play, behind the 4 Super Bowl favorites. It is the Chiefs, it is the Eagles, it is the Bills, it is the 49ers who round out the top 4, and it is the Miami Dolphins coming in at 5th, but yet they're all the way down at 60-1, the second longest odds to win the Super Bowl. Now, they do need Tua back, but also it's worth noting, because everyone's been talking about the Tua situation, got to give the Dolphins defense some credit here. Over their last 3 games, giving up only 4.2 yards per play. That's tied for first in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'll be betting on both the Jaguars and the Dolphins as long shots here. I actually put a $20 bet in a couple weeks ago at 130-1, I think it is, on the Jaguars to play the 49ers in the Super Bowl for like a $2,200 payout or something. So I'll be rooting for that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? So here's what I'll say about my Miami Dolphins. Do I expect them to go into Buffalo and pick up a win, whether it's Tua or Teddy or hopefully not Skylar Thompson at quarterback on Sunday here? No. I do not, but I won't be surprised to see Miami give them a game. Miami played their best football when they have no pressure, nothing to play for. Of course, they had a very streaky team at the start of the season. They had a 5-game winning streak where they were just going up and down the field with these. And then when things started to matter, they go in out of their bye to play the 49ers, the Chargers, games that have some meaning. They shriveled up a little bit. Then when they were at their lowest point of the season, they go into Buffalo on a Saturday night. Everyone expected them to get their ass kicked. They're playing the worst football of the season. I thought they were very impressive in that loss. I think maybe they even outplayed Buffalo. A few bounces didn't go their way in that game, but they were in position to win it. So that's what I'll say about the Dolphins. No one expects anything from them. They got nothing to lose in this game, so maybe they can go into Buffalo and give them a game. The Buffalo defense hasn't looked so great here lately. Am I expecting that? No. Would I love to see it? Absolutely, I would. So quick look ahead here, more discussion here. What line stands out most to you, Ian, for Super Wildcard Weekend here? I like the Jaguars as a small underdog at home versus, I think the Chargers are a very overrated football team. They got a lot of big names in terms of fantasy football. Like, they always have the sexy highlights and stuff, but I think they're a very poorly coached team. That was on full display yesterday. Whereas everything you added about Doug Peterson, I think that big coaching advantage being on their home field, that's only going to help them. So absolutely, I like the Jags as a home dog. What line stands out most to you?
One you already mentioned, Joe, the Dolphins at the Bills. Remember just a few weeks ago when you brought that up when the Dolphins played in Buffalo. Let's be sure of people out there saying the same narrative we heard like less than a month ago. Oh, Miami can't play in Buffalo in the winter. I was one of the only people on the Dolphins that game, and they did cover the spread. Didn't win, but they covered. So I'll be back on Miami and Buffalo again this week. One that kind of sticks out is Bengals, still available under a touchdown, -6.5 against the Ravens. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to play, Joe. I don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson. I think now this is the third straight year he just gets hurt, and then like halfway through the season he gets hurt, and then we keep hearing, oh, he might play next week. Oh, and then he just never does. I think he's going to wait for a contract here. So I would not be taking the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's going to play.
I think it's an enormous. Why don't he just switch the camera to you there? He was done with his point, Tito. The big red flag. Finishing. Anyways, gigantic red flag here for the Ravens is we have not heard a fucking peep out of Lamar Jackson. Maybe I don't follow. I'm not day to day following Ravens football, but you would like some words of encouragement, something on social media posts like, hey, we're into the playoffs. Here we go. Good job after one of the wins that they had. You heard nothing from this guy. Maybe I missed it. I mean, with the Dolphins, at least you see Tua in the tunnel celebrating the win. And it's like, okay, well, Tua is there at the game with his teammates. Pretty gigantic red flag. I've been saying it all season, not exactly like I'm going out on a limb, but I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to be back with the Ravens. I think there's some bad blood, and it's going to boil over. All right, I can't wait for Super Wildcard Weekend. A game on Monday night. That line stands out to me as well. Bucks money line for me in that one. Okay, guys, I want to tell you a little bit about the Vegas Insider app. The Vegas Insider app gives you all the major sports betting odds at your fingertips, along with picks and expert breakdowns. You can shop for the best odds, find props, futures, and plenty more with the app. If you want more Vegas Insider content like our shows, videos, and podcasts, you can find it all on the app in the media section. Download the Vegas Insider app on Apple and Android. Bet better with the Vegas Insider app. All right, guys, we put up a poll on our Twitter feed asking you guys to weigh in on your pick for the national championship game tonight. And it's close among Vegas Insider Twitter followers, 51.5%. Liking TCU. You leaning either side on that one, Ian?
Yeah, I like Georgia. If it was over 2 touchdowns, I'd go TCU. I think 12.5. I think you got to go Georgia. But TCU is one of those very weird teams where their stats don't really hold up, but then they keep winning games. So they're a weird one. But I think I'd trust the numbers and go Georgia.
Yeah, looking forward to this one tonight. Okay, we have some viewer pick submissions for the show today. Of course, some hockey. No hockey from Ian and I on today's show. Nathan Schreckengast. He likes the LA Kings minus 110 with the Oilers in town. Kings a bit of an analytics darling right now. Third in expected goals allowed, fifth in Corsi against, and first in shots against. Last 10 5-on-5. Very good defensive team. Edmonton 13th, 14th, and 21st, respectively. The LA Kings eliminated Edmonton last year. In the first matchup, LA won 3-1 with 29 block shots versus 8 for Edmonton. Kings should bring their A-plus effort versus the Oilers tonight. Yeah, I stayed away from that one. The Oilers are one of these weird teams that they're better on the road. So we wish Nathan good luck with that one. Go Kings! All right, what do we have next here? Matty Puppy Sports. Can't resist this big powerhouse game. Oh, yes. I got a couple guys coming over to watch this one. The big Texas Southern versus Mississippi Valley State, who brings a 1-16 record in this one. He's taking the underdog, Mississippi Valley State University, plus 10.5. Texas Southern is 1-7 ATS in their last 8 games overall and 0-5 ATS in their last 5 versus a team with a losing straight-up record. Mississippi Valley State 10-2 in their last 12 games versus a team with a win percentage below 400. Yeah, Mississippi Valley State. They're going to show some pride out there tonight. We wish our guy, Matty Pup, good luck with that one. Beers and bow ties.
Yes.
He's kind of aligned with me here. He likes Tampa Bay Boys. The 2023 Lombardi Trophy at 19-1. Rumor has it the offensive line is getting a few key players back. Oh, and it's Tom freaking Brady.
Joe, if Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl, I give up. I can't stomach it again.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs, the talent is there. They haven't totally executed all. They've been like the worst bet against the spread all season in the NFL. But like I said, I think things might be breaking pretty good for them here. And, you do have to wonder, like, I think if you ask anybody, Tito asked Ian and I, out of the NFC, who are you most confident in? We both said the 49ers. Obviously, we got to wonder about Brock Purdy. He hasn't hit that wall yet. You got to give him a ton of credit. He's got a lot of moxie. But you got to wonder if he's in a tight spot in the fourth quarter, potentially on the road, in the cold. Was he going to hit that wall? He hasn't really shown any signs that that's going to happen. But we have seen players completely melt in the playoffs before. We've also seen guys like Nick Foles completely come out of nowhere and rise to the occasion. That's a tricky thing. That's the thing that you cannot measure in the playoffs. Of course, when Ian and I come at you with these handicaps, it's all, 90% stats for the most part. I wouldn't recommend throwing the stats at the window, but some guys rise to the occasion. Some guys absolutely melt in these big spots. It's hard to predict who's going to do that. Thankfully for the Minnesota Vikings, they did not put them in a night game, but we know how the Vikings tend to do in these standalone games. Would anyone be shocked if the Giants picked up an outright win in that one? Bit of a tricky game to cap there. Any lean on that one, Ian?
I like the Giants getting the points in that one. I talk about net yards per play all the time, but you got to recognize the Giants have been playing some very good football lately. 5th in net yards per play over their last 3 games, plus 1.1. So I think I'm going to go Giants. I think I'll take the points. I think I'm not going to take Giants money line, but I think it's going to be a close one because, they just played a few weeks ago and it came down to a last-second field goal. So I'll take the 3 points. Yeah,
they play in a lot of tight games. Give me the Giants and the Jags on a teaser because the Chargers playing a lot of tight games as well. An underdog teaser in the wild card round, absolutely.
I like that play. Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys. It is now time for today's Handicapper Heat Check presented by VegasInsider.com. Your home for the best expert picks in the business since 1997. Today's featured expert is Will Rogers, who is 9-2. His last 11 bowl picks, and on a 17-4 NHL win streak. Steven Over's 8-2 in his last 10 bowl games, and Alex Smart ended the season winning his last 3 bowl games. Visit VegasInsider.com/picks. That's VegasInsider.com/picks for tonight's college football national championship top plays. That's your handicapper heat check. Stay hot, betters. All right, Ian, before we send you on your way, what do you have coming up this week with your podcast and with Betsided that Chasing That Paper viewers can check out?
Yep, the road to 272, I guess, is road to 271 bets is complete, but I'll still be betting on every single NFL playoff game. So the wildcard round episode of the Bacon Bets podcast will probably come out Wednesday morning, if not then Thursday morning. Other than that, not much. Check out my articles up on Fansided and Betsided. Daily bet slip is no more. So if you want these streams, then tune into this show because the daily bet slip at 5 p.m. Eastern is retired moving forward. So,
right on. What about
catch my work on Twitter?
What about
What's
PGA?
that?
You're coming off a good weekend. You're on here on Friday or
yes.
Thursday, and you told us your best bet and your outright winner both hit. I don't even know if there's a tournament this weekend.
There is the Sony Open this week, yeah. So started off 2023, a couple winners in golf. My picks for the Sony Open this week. I usually write that article Wednesday. I might push it up to tomorrow. So check out Betsided is where my picks will be for the golf. Yeah, started off a little plus 650 outright winner and a plus 140 top 10. Tom Kim.
I'm going to go with Tony Finau to win outright at the Sony Open if anyone's looking to tail my PGA action. Finau is the way to go. Okay, guys, Chasing That Paper. We're going to be back in your life tomorrow. I'll be flying solo tomorrow. Same time, same place. Heavy NBA and NHL action. Probably some National Football League talk as well. We'll see if we get any updates on Lamar Jackson or Tua. But until then, good luck with your bets tonight, unless, of course, you are fading us. And as always, keep chasing that paper.